Hey guys, welcome to another episode of KoKo's World. It's your girl Carly, and today we're talking about claiming the room. I don't know about you, but have you ever just walked in a room and immediately felt like you were making yourself smaller? Or when you were talking to someone, you decided that you just wanted to lower your tone because you didn't want to seem too aggressive when making a decision or setting a boundary with that person? Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. We, as women, have to find that common, I feel like, medium of just knowing how to be ourselves without, I don't know, being afraid of being considered too much, I guess. I know in my career, as my journey of being a healthcare director for many years, I found myself being overly too loud, too passionate about my work, too confrontational, and everything that a lot of people, AKA men, or my peers that just wanted to be accepted, which is nothing's wrong with that. But I felt like a lot of it was to, I don't know, dull my shine versus just allowing me to be the princess that I'm meant to be. So today we're talking about all things claiming the room because I want you to know I have my own dance company, One Q Fitness. We are all about knowing that you deserve to be in the space that you are, and you also deserve to take up space where you're at, and you should never feel sorry or apologize for that. This episode of Coco's World is powered by Q Fitness with Carly, the place where confidence is built, bodies get stronger, and you're reminded that you can still own the room on your toughest day. Q Fitness isn't just a workout, it's a movement. It's a space where women show up to pour into themselves, shake off the stress, and tap into the version of themselves that's been waiting to shine. Whether you're dancing it out, lifting it out, or sweating it out, you're never doing it alone. If you're ready for a community that hypes you up, challenges you, and celebrates every win, then Q Fitness with Carly is where you need to be. Because when you step into the space, you're not just working out, you're activating your power. Join us and let's elevate your mind, body, and confidence one session at a time. And also, being your being your most authentic self is the biggest blessing and gift that you could provide to mankind. So, let's talk about it a little bit. I will also share that, as you all also know, my journey of entrepreneurship, I've come in contact with writing hundreds of contracts for people. And a lot of the times they're like, oh, will you budge here or will you budge there? And I literally put this to the test. I had my dad send over the exact same contract, the exact same verbiage, everything. And guess what? This same gentleman that literally asked me to change all these bulletin points in an email wrote back and asked my dad, how quick do you want me to send the money? Yeah. So this is what I say, like, I'm done of shrinking just because we're supposed to be, I guess, we're supposed to shrink. And I'm ready to just teach you all how to walk in the room, claim it, know it's yours, and knowing that you being your most authentic self is necessary. So, some of the myths that, like I shared before, you're too dominating, you're arrogant if you stand your ground and say, like, no means no, or I'm sorry, but these are my prices, and you can either accept the prices or not. Or even if you're in corporate America and negotiating a contract or saying, I was just working for this company who was providing a certain amount of salary, and then literally this other girl, she negotiated her contract and was making 3 times what they wanted to pay me. And I'm like, thank goodness that I didn't accept it, but what if I would have? Always negotiate. And also, feeling the need to over explain yourself, that is not necessary. We're not doing that anymore. You are who you are, and you don't have to show you can show better through actions more so than trying to tell and over explain who you are. Another thing that I always say when it comes to learning how to claim the room is speaking clearly without over explaining, not shrinking to make other people feel comfortable, and knowing your value before you ever open your mouth. We know what is worth our time and what is not worth our time. You're not going to sit there and argue with someone on, let's just use children as an example. A kid that is not ready to take a nap but you know that they're being irritable and they need to take a nap, you're not about to argue with them. Or I know I'm not about to argue with them. You're going to go take a nap. And once you finish taking your nap, you can get up and you can play. You can have your iPad, whatever the kid is wanting to negotiate with. That point, nothing else is needed. When you sit there and argue with someone, when you already know what you're willing to take, you are depreciating yourself. And a lot of times we are our own we are our own demise. Like, I was reading this book that once said it was about money and finances, and it shared that the first person that speaks after providing a contract is the person that's going to lose at that contract. So whenever I deliver contracts, I usually deliver them via email. But if I'm having like an in-person meeting and I slide the contract to the person, go over everything, that next person that speaks is usually the person that is going to lose. So silence is key, and we're going to learn how to be silent. I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, the loudest one in the crowd is usually the most insecure. That saying is so true as well. We're done being loud. We are going to work on this next season as being individuals that claim the room by also claiming ourselves and knowing how to keep ourselves in a tactical, I would say, manner. I also want to discuss why women shrink. As most of my friends are currently dating, and to be honest, when I hear corporate men discuss hiring a woman, especially a woman of color, they love to say, let's hire the one that's easy to digest, which is kind of weird because are we eating food? Like, why are we digesting people? But, anyways, I digress. Women being compared to food is honestly disturbing to me, which is very true. And I honestly feel that when women are dating in the industry, a lot of the times will say, oh, this is what I'm accepting. I want a guy to open the door for me. I want a guy to pay for my meal. I want a guy to take me to this expensive restaurant. But then when we get comfortable with that person and we've settled for him opening the door for the first date, taking you to that restaurant, doing X, Y, and Z, you then get comfortable and it's like, okay, now I'm okay if he doesn't open the door for me this time, but then he's also not covering the bill, which I'm not saying, like, let me go ahead and correct this as well. I do not think in partnerships the man should always cover the bill. That's me being saying what I'm saying, and for my friends, they're going to come for me and I already know it and I accept it. But I think that a partnership should be 50-50 or at least 70-30 or 80-20. I don't think it should ever be 100% on one person. But I also feel that with women, we do a really bad job of saying what boundaries we have, what expectations we're setting, and then after we get comfortable or you have just accepted this person, you don't make them continue to work for what it is that they need to be working for, or to continue meeting the expectations and boundaries that were originally met because y'all now have a title or you're exclusive. The same thing goes for corporate America, whereas I feel a lot of women go into roles and they're like, oh, I worked with predominantly a lot of men in healthcare and I was great with it. We didn't have many emotions attached to things. When policies were implemented, we talked about it and then we moved on. It was great. But a lot of times I don't like to use the word pick me, but a lot of times a lot of men, especially in the industry that I came from, they liked when women would just be like, yeah, I'm cool with that and not ask questions. No, I'm going to ask, why are we doing it this way? If it's not broken, why are we sitting here trying to change it? But then we have two other process improvement things that we could actually make great changes for, and we're not even looking at that. Or if it means we're cutting this department and adding this department, but we're saying we don't have the budget for it, why are we doing either one of these things? So instead of always being feeling like as if you have to agree or constantly saying yes to something, you can also have a voice and say like, no, I don't like it this way. And I view my opinion is possibly necessary, or it could possibly be something that could change the trajectory for the overall project or thing that we're discussing. I also want to say, when it comes to raising children, have you ever thought how behind the kids would be if women shrunk? I love using the example of kids as a topic for me because I feel that we trust women. Like, of course, women are the only way that we can have children on this earth. We trust them to raise our kids, to educate our kids, to be our first child's impression of life. But then when it comes to just operating in life, a lot of times we're treated as if we don't know anything of what we're talking about, or we're not smart enough for it, or yeah, what was the word I received just a week ago? I'm not competent enough, which that cracks me up. I actually get triggered when people say like I'm competent or not competent when I went to a very like strategic school and graduated way above my peers. But, I just allow people to be who they want to be and say the things they want to say. But it's just crazy to me. I digress to say, it's crazy to me that we trust women to raise children, to a lot of educators are women. But when it comes to women making decisions in predominantly male spaces, is we're not competent enough, or oh, Carly, you should just be there for the beauty of things, not actually for the brains. It's just not okay. So I genuinely believe women are conditioned to be agreeable. We are not supposed to be against the grain. We are supposed to fear the label aggressive or confrontational. I remember being around like 12 years old. I think I was in middle school when this was like the one time I strongly disagreed with how my dad was going about having a daughter like me. But he fixed himself, and he's great now, and I love my dad. But he told me, he was like, "You're never gonna make it far in this world if you are just as confrontational as you are. You always have to ask why, and you always want to know what's going on and why are we making the decisions that we're making." Well, once again, I'm a methodical, that was the word I was looking for earlier. I'm a methodical thinker, and I also want to know the why behind whatever it is. Hence, my education and degree was, I'm an analyst, so IT, that's all we do. And I remember looking at him when I had my first job out of college. I experienced a ton of sexual harassment from my superior, who was my manager at the time. He We would have meetings, and of course, at like when I first started this jump company, I was training, so I had no business being like a lead on the project. But he made me a lead because I was beautiful, and he would tell me that I needed to present my brain versus, or I needed to present my beauty versus my brain. And then things gradually progressed to the point where obviously he would do inappropriate things to himself during meetings, like board meetings with 10 to 12 people sitting around the table, but no one would ever see him. And eventually it was enough. I went to, well, he had called me to his office for a program that wasn't working. And when I walked into this office, he was completely in the nude. And I nicely walked back out, and I walked down to HR, and the HR representative that I was speaking to, she literally told me the only way I could progress in leadership and to grow the goals that I had set for myself would be either on my back or on my knees. And I nicely told her to go fuck herself, and that was my last day of that job. And when I left, I told my dad, I said, you're right. Maybe I am a little too confrontational with certain things, but if I would have been more confrontational, I would have never subjected myself to the 8 months of progressive grooming, because that's really what it was. He slowly did things until I guess he thought that I would never say anything, and eventually I did speak. And HR did nothing because it was kind of like a family owned corporation. They're not in business anymore. I will not name their names, but I told him, I was like, this is what making me feel as if me being too aggressive or too confrontational or too outspoken, this is what led me to being subjected to this type of harassment. And my dad was like, well, I mean, I think we should sue them. I think this and that. And they're a well known company and they're also a well known family. So I did not press charges and I chose just to continue my career path the way it was. The company did eventually get a lawsuit for sexual misconduct and sexual harassment to two other interns that started after me. But I say all that to say, sometimes being professional and standing on business, it may not get you the opportunities you want in life, but it will get you the right opportunities where you will be respected, valued, and in a safe environment long term. Another thing that women are supposed to, we are supposed to fear to losing opportunities. If we do not look right, sound right, show enough skin, it's a risk. And I use that exact same example. When I went in for my interview, my first interview was with the HR representative that my encounter was at the end. And I wore just a nice, like, cute little blouse and some black professional pants. And she was like, I would highly recommend you wearing a skirt your next interview because, you know, it looks to me that you have really nice legs and it would just be appropriate for you to wear a skirt. So, of course, like me not knowing, I was a junior in college and I needed this internship to get hours to graduate. My next interview, I wore this really nice skirt. Of course, I got hired on the scene, did not know what the future held. Also, we're supposed to be liked over being respected. And to that, once again, I say a huge fuck no. All capital letters. Every daughter I have, even my 20-year-old kid that I have now, I've always told her that she is to be respected, not liked. I don't care about how many likes I have. You know, I think that we live in a very weird world now where people strive for thousands of likes on Instagram, thousands of likes on TikTok. I'm a micro influencer. I definitely know that likes definitely grow the algorithm for people to see your content to help grow your followers. But I will much rather in my life be known for being a respected individual in society than ever just liked. And I personally think that just average liked people get forgotten. But I mean, that's just how I feel. Okay. This episode of KoKo's World is sponsored by Mary Roofs, the multivitamin brand that keeps my energy up, my mood balanced, and my wellness on point. Listen, life be lifing, as we all know. And I need something that supports me from the inside out. Mary Roofs is clean, vegan, easy on the stomach, and honestly tastes better than any vitamin I've ever had. Whether you're juggling work, family, routines, dancing, such as a person like myself, or just trying to keep your peace in this crazy world, Mary Roofs has something for you. Your health is your foundation, and Mary Roofs keeps mine strong. So if you're ready to feel more aligned, more energized, and more supported every day, check out Mary Roofs vitamins because taking care of yourself is the real key to unlocking your power. And you know that's what KoKo's World is all about. You can find Mary Roofs in local grocery stores or stores like Target, Walmart, or even Amazon. So, I want to discuss a few laws that I have really worked really hard to practice for myself, but also teach my daughter who is starting to get into her like career and learning the things that I wish I would have known many years ago. I'm now teaching these things to her. And I've learned some of these from this book called The 48 Laws of Power. It's a really good book, but it kind of shares how to survive the world of corporate America in the eyes of men. Like, honestly, corporations are predominantly ran by men, and us women are now evolving and starting to become CEOs and all this stuff. But this book really teaches you the laws of how to go about operating with men and with powerful people. Law number one, I always tell people, regulate first. Never respond emotionally. Always pause. Take a deep breath. If you need to go run a lap, run a lap. Come back, splash water in your face. Whatever is going to get you to kind of get yourself regulated, do it. I am a person, I do not make any hard decisions without sleeping on it first. So that is my regulation. I sleep on it and then I respond. Law number 2, stick to truths. Short and clean, direct communication gets you so much further than passiveness. I mean no harm, but I will never waste my time or energy on a lie, a fabricated story, and proving myself to anyone because actions speak over everything. So when I say speak with truth or stick with truths, that means you know your story, they know their story, or they know what they're delivering, and that's it. Like, it's no writing or creating this narrative, this false narrative that doesn't align with either party. So being sure to stick with truth lands you a whole lot further in the long run. Law number 3, direct eye contact. Eyes tell everything, and it always allows you to read body language. A person's body speaks before their mouth ever does. This is so true. I was recently at a gymnastics competition a couple weeks ago, and I kept telling my wife, I was like, I do not understand why these girls are doing their floor routines looking at the floor. Like, it's not providing any level of confidence. They're naturally, their shoulders are slumped down because, believe it or not, your shoulders follow where your eyes are, and like it causes you to lift your head up. These girls were like looking down, shoulders are slouched down, posture is not there, and also no facial expression. So I'm like, this floor routine does not look like a floor routine. Where I do come from dance background. Dance teaches us shoulders back, chins up, heads back, eye contact. We are challenged to make eye contact with our judges when competing. That is just the way of the land. And I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. So like, that's what I've known. But also I feel like it makes me know, like, when I walk in the room, I'm owning that room. When I speak to someone, I'm not afraid to make eye contact with them and have that conversation with them versus looking at the floor, looking around. Now, I have a little bit of ADHD, so I do bounce my eyes a little bit, but that's just because I'm hyper. But from a confidence standpoint, I'm like, what is this teaching these girls? Because I don't mean any harm, but this isn't teaching the confidence that I grew up knowing. And I was talking to my niece, who's a competitive gymnast, and she kept falling off the beam every time she would make this turn, a pirouette. And I told her, I said, you know why you're falling is because your eyes aren't lifted. And you need to find a focal point to focus on and just focus there. And she was like, Aunt Carly, I'm going to try that. She did it, did not fall off the beam. She did her floor routine. She made eye contact with her judges. She did all this stuff. She finished third out of 135 kids. And it was the smallest things that changed. But reality is, those small things make a tremendous difference in the world. Yeah, powerful women, we face the world head on. Law number 4, body language. Great posture says a lot. Chest out, chins up, head back, and proudly walk in and own it. Like I said, I own every room I walk in. But also, never allow someone to see you cry. This is a huge one. Never allow someone to see you cry. I have been in corporate America for some time. And of course, I've dealt with a lot of difficult people. But one thing that I've always said is I will much rather go to the bathroom stall and get myself together, pause, gather myself, react, not emotional, and come back to a situation than ever allow my vulnerability to be judged against me. And then law number 5 is silence is power. Get comfortable sitting in silence. I challenge myself every single day, even if it's just a 5-minute drive, wherever in my car. I sit with my phone on Do Not Disturb. I have no music on, and I just sit in silence. It's unbelievable what your brain what type of reset your mood, your brain, all the things can do with you just practice these simple little things. Because, like I said, when you shrink yourself, you pre-position yourself to tell people how to treat you. When you don't claim the room, resentment builds. You're often overlooked. You feel invisible, and often you attract friends and people who overpower you, which result to you being a very submissive person. Before we close this episode, I want you to take a breath with me. Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, sit up a little taller. Now ask yourself honestly, where have I been shrinking? Where have I softened my truth to make someone else comfortable? Where have I over explained just to be understood? Where have I laughed something off that actually hurt me? I don't know about you, but I've done that so many times. But write these things down, every area, every question that I just asked. Then ask yourself, what would it look like if I trusted that I belonged in every room I walk in? Not because I'm the loudest, not because I'm the most qualified, but because I am enough as I am. What conversations have I been avoiding? What boundaries need to be spoken of? What truth have I been rehearsing in my head but haven't released from my mouth? Here's the truth. Every time you shrink, you abandon a piece of yourself. And every time you speak with grace and stand firm, you reclaim her. The version of you that doesn't apologize for just being you, the version of you that doesn't dilute your personality, the version of you that knows she can be kind and commanding at the same damn time. So this week, journal this: one space where I will take up more room, one sentence I will say without over explaining, one boundary I will hold without guilt, one moment where I will choose respect over being liked. And when fear shows up, because it will, trust me, because anything new is uncomfortable, remind yourself of these things. I am not too much. I am not difficult. I am not aggressive. I am grounded. I am clear. I am worthy of being heard. And I am claiming every room I walk in. You don't have to dominate the room. You just have to decide you're no longer shrinking to be in it. And that is on how we grow as individuals. This is KoKo's world, and in this world, we claim every space we walk into. Bye, y'all. This podcast is brought to you by MJW Photo Studio, a